You have the wand.
You tried to kill me.
I know, and I'm sorry. Can you ever forgive me?
No. I was saved, dear audience, by my dog. He kissed me, and I woke up. So, you know, it's like a doggy Prince Charming type deal. He didn't really care. He just wanted to lick me. I was grateful, though. You, though, you'll be having words.
You're not gonna.
You will pay.
You're not gonna.
But not now, because we're doing a video, so I can hold off on my vengeance.
I appreciate
Of
that.
which you will feel.
I'm in for it.
Yep.
Anyway, welcome back, audience. It's Harry Potter month still, and this time we're gonna be talking about an adult and someone a little more antagonistic to the story.
Cornelius Fudge, who was the Minister of Magic for a majority of the years Harry spent at Hogwarts.
Yeah. So, as per usual, let's start off with some background information on Mr. Cornelius Fudge. So, Cornelius Fudge, as Dragon says, was the Minister of Magic for a majority of the Harry Potter book series and movie series. He, like many wizards in Britain, attended Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where he would meet Albus Dumbledore. Now, after Hogwarts, Fudge started working for the ministry, and he first started out in the department known as the Department of Magical Accidents and Catastrophes.
Which sounds pretty important, but given you worked there, it probably wasn't.
Yes. But, so, the minister at the time of Fudge's employment, her name was Millicent Bagnold, and in 1989, she was approaching the end of her term, and many believed that Albus Dumbledore would be the best candidate for the job given his skills, but Dumbledore made it clear multiple times that he would not accept the position and that he had no interest in being a politician. But Fudge, he didn't really believe that, I want to say, to an extent, and
Well, he relied heavily upon Dumbledore, at least in the beginning of the book series. He was always writing him for advice and stuff.
yeah, but
As times went on, he got more and more paranoid that Dumbledore wanted his job, which never made sense to me. Because he knew if Dumbledore truly wanted it, he would have had it from the start.
yes, which he
So I
made.
get raging paranoia does shit to your mind, but still, it seemed like colossally stupid, which confused me. But that's not the point.
Yeah, but
Because he, in all honesty, he was always kind of stupid.
yes, but as we were saying, Dumbledore made it clear he did not want the position, and in the year 1990, Fudge became the Minister of Magic, and he would serve as the minister until the year 1996, I believe. But, so we don't really see him in the first movie, or I don't think he's mentioned in the first book, but we see him in the Chamber of Secrets briefly. He shows up with Dumbledore along with Lucius Malfoy at Hagrid's hut, where they are going to arrest Hagrid because of
The whole Chamber of Secrets stuff
And Hagrid's had past allegations against him, I believe, because if you remember, Tom Riddle did get Hagrid expelled 50
so
years
when the chamber
prior.
opens up again, you know, it is a logical step. The guy we thought did it last time is still here, so it's probably him again.
And
so we know that it's wrong, but from a standpoint where you don't know it's wrong, it does make sense. If he shows up to arrest Hagrid, that happens. It's very sad.
And it wasn't mentioned in the movie, but in the book, Fudge was actually against it at first, but a certain wizard who was serving as a governor of the school at the time had some heavy influence on Fudge.
Dude, you don't need on your worship. I don't know this.
True enough.
He's an ass.
Fair enough. Who doesn't know that?
Exactly.
Yeah, but so that's the first time we see him, and the
We
next.
see him a few more times, like not too much within the first half of the series. Like he pardons Harry like immediately when he blows up his aunt.
And
like
then
blows up as in a balloon, not an explosion for anyone who is not aware. And because he's like, it happens all the time. Doesn't really matter, and he's kind of sucking up to Harry.
yeah,
Because
and,
Harry's, you know, the boy who lived and all that jazz.
and then we see him again in the third movie with Hagrid and Professor McGonagall, where they're talking about Sirius Black, and this was never mentioned, but Fudge was one of the first people to show up in Godric's Hollow after Harry's parents' death when Sirius supposedly killed Peter Pettigrew. So, from what he saw, he did not know the full story, and he believed every bit as much as anybody else that Black was guilty.
Well, in that case, in his defense, there was a lot of circumstantial evidence against Black, and no evidence pointing to anyone else. So, you know.
But the next time we see him, it's very, very brief scenes again. We see him at the Quidditch World Cup in the Goblet of Fire, and we see him again in Dumbledore's office, and after the final task when Harry has come back with Cedric's body.
Yeah, and that's when things start going downhill for him.
Yes.
Because he goes from a bumbling, if well-meaning guy to some extent an antagonist. Because he's dead set on not believing Voldemort's back, that Harry and Dumbledore are plotting against him, and a whole laundry list of stuff. And I get not wanting to believe Voldemort's back because that's kind of terrifying. And, you know, he survived through one war where he probably lost a lot of people, so I get not wanting to believe that. But he goes about it in a really stupid way, and it costs so much.
Yes, like
in the long run, and he doesn't wind up in a good place afterwards because, you know, soon enough,
he sees.
well, first he puts Umbridge in Hogwarts. We'll talk about her later because she's definitely gonna get her own video.
Oh yes, we have words for Umbridge.
But for now, we'll just leave it at that was a terrible decision on his part.
Yes, because we know what happened to the students, and that's why they rebelled.
Yeah, but again, we'll get into that on her own video. We have a lot to say on that. But that was a bad decision on Fudge's part. And then at the end of the film/book, he actually sees Voldemort, so.
Yeah. And let's just say the public does not respond well to that. In addition to...
Well, that as in how he handled the situation.
Yeah, campaigning against Harry and Dumbledore
Well, they were all behind it in the beginning, and then they kind of vilify him for it. Very fickle people, those wizards, huh?
Yeah.
But so he's forced to resign, and we last see him, or at least last time I remember seeing him, is from a chapter that is from the Muggle Prime Minister's point of view, where Fudge has come to talk to him, and the Prime Minister notes how the guy's kind of always been an ass to him, but he looks like worn out and terrible.
Yeah.
So that's the last time I remember hearing from him.
Yep. I mean, he does still stay in the ministry in a way. He actually helps the new minister who replaces him, who we see in the first part of the seventh movie, if you remember, when he comes to read Dumbledore's will. Fudge was helping him with relations to the Muggle Prime Minister, but as Dragon just said, Fudge never really got along with the Muggle Prime Minister to begin with.
I also recall reading somewhere that at some point he gave himself the Order of Merlin thing.
Oh yes, while he was still the Minister of Magic, he appointed himself to the Order of Merlin, first class, which, if I think we heard of the Order of Merlin once before. I think Gilderoy Lockhart was actually a part of it. But yeah, I mean,
So it's a prestigious thing, and he gave himself the highest one you can get, which is kind of telling of his opinion of himself.
yes.
So I guess that's it for his biography / history thing.
Yeah, we really don't know what happened to him after the second Wizarding War.
Or what he was doing in the ministry during Voldemort's kind of takeover of it.
Yeah, because we don't see him then.
Okay, so before we get into our 3 sections, there is a point we'd like to make. This channel is not about political stuff.
Our opinions, whether they're differing from each other or not, we're not here to talk about that. So please, in the comments, no political debates.
For this and future times when we talk about politicians and Harry Potter videos or any other videos, please don't compare them to real life people, as in, oh, this reminds me of this so-and-so politician and he's terrible or she's terrible or whatever. I don't care. That's not the point of this channel. People get very heated by that. So if you leave comments and it starts a chain of stuff, we are deleting it.
Yeah, so please.
We're not doing this to be mean or malicious, but we don't want to deal with that stuff because that's not what we're about. It's not what we want to talk about. And it can get rather toxic.
Yes.
And we would just like to avoid that. So please, you can think to yourself, oh, this guy reminds me of this person. That's fine. Just don't comment on it and on our channel. We're asking you to respect our wishes on that.
Okay, guys, if you want to go talk about politics, then go to a YouTube channel that actually talks about politics.
Okay, so I think we've made that clear. So now we move on to, does he work as a character? Barry?
Well, I mean, in a way he does, yes, because you've got to think the wizarding world has to have some sort of structure to it, like the everyday world.
Well,
so
yeah, but just because his job is necessary does not mean him specifically as a character works. I'm not saying he does or he doesn't in this one case. I'm just saying, talking about how his job is important doesn't really equate to him as a person.
you're right. But I guess in a way he does, because I think he's like another adversary for Dumbledore in a way, maybe, and he's definitely not the one you would expect. But he's just, I don't know, because he's just this pompous authority figure with a lack of self-confidence despite his title. And while that's not unusual, I think there's a little bit of, it creates this kind of tension that you're never really expecting, but it's kind of in the background, so it works, but it doesn't for him.
Well, I think that in a way he's kind of necessary, because most of the plot of Order of the Phoenix wouldn't happen
If it weren't for him.
Like, he's not necessarily a villain you love to hate, and he does annoy me, and he always kind of annoyed me, but I don't know, it's just, you'd feel his loss if he wasn't there. We needed a character like him.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that brings us to, does he work in his settings?
Well, like I just said, you'd feel his loss. He is needed as a character. And again, like I said before, I get why he didn't want to believe that Voldemort came back.
No,
It's a horrifying prospect.
No, it is a scary thought.
You know, this guy's dead and now he's back and he caused so much death and destruction before. I get that. I don't like it. You know, he's kind of a dick about it, but
Yeah.
I get it. I get where he's coming from in that. He handled it poorly, but at the base of it, he was just a scared, paranoid, selfish man, and you can only fault that so much. Because many of us haven't been any of that at any point in time. Again, he goes about it terribly. He's a horrible person for what he does. He makes a high school kid a pariah. That's not okay.
No.
A high school kid.
No. A teenage boy
Yes.
who's got enough emotional and mental baggage as it is.
Exactly. I mean, even if you ignored the, the boy who lived aspects of it all, again, high school kid.
Yeah, Harry's been through enough as it is.
You tried to turn a whole culture of people against a high school kid. That's not okay.
I mean,
but
against Dumbledore, maybe that's a little bit more reasonable, even if it's still horrible, but again, like she said, a high school kid.
Yeah, it wasn't a very well thought out plan.
Mm.
But moving on from that, so finally, do we like him? Well, as is probably evident from all that we were saying, no.
No.
He was an ass, and we feel no pity for where he ends up. He was not very well suited to his job. He had an overinflated ego.
He was pompous.
He did a
as all
couple of
hell.
nice things, but yes, he was very pompous, and he just didn't handle the job well under stressful times. Maybe if it was a completely peaceful time, he would have been fine, but it wasn't, and he wasn't suited for it, and people suffered as a result.
Not to mention the people he did associate himself with, like,
Malfoy.
yeah, he surrounded himself with a lot of pure blood extremists.
Yeah, and like with Malfoy, I mean, I get that he was kind of, if you look at it, a terrible Death Eater. He didn't really do anything useful, except let the Dark Lord squat in his house for a while, but that was different.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a known Death Eater. Like, yes, he claimed to have been under the Imperious curse, but Would you really want to hang out with someone who Imperious Curse are not did terrible things? Wouldn't that make you uncomfortable to an extent? But, and there was still that all around bad person vibe Lucius Malfoy exuded. But
we'll talk about Lucius another time, so.
yeah, but Fudge was just a bad judge of character. That's the core of it, in all honesty.
So, again, he's necessary to the plot, but we don't like him.
Yeah, we'd feel his absence. He was needed for a lot of the stuff to happen, the tension, some of the hardships. But he wasn't a good character. He was not a good guy. And again, he wasn't even a bad guy that you'd love to hate, like Umbridge.
No. Because we'd love to hate her.
Oh, yes. And again, we have words to say about her later. So I guess that's it for this video. You're not gonna try to kill me again, are you?
No, dragon, I'm not gonna try and kill you.
Okay, good, because I've been wanting to do this for a while.
Really?
Fudge! His name makes me hungry!
So, you just whip out a box of Hershey bars.
Yes.
You are infuriating.
You want me to put it away?
Yes, please.
Okay. I will put this box with this chocolate away.
Where are you going?
I'm putting the box away like you told me to.
And you come back with a giant Hershey bar?
I follow the letter of the law and the spirit. You told me to put the box away. So I said I was putting that box away. That chocolate in it. This was not in that box. And his name makes me hungry. Fudge.
Can I have some?
You chew me out for it. No. Nope, this is mine.
Wait! Well, I guess I deserve that. So I guess I'll sign off for both of us from here. So that's it. Fudge, necessary character, but we don't like him. So thank you for watching. You can follow me on Twitter and Tumblr at Fire Dragon and Water Fairy. And we'll see you guys in the next video for Harry Potter Month. Bye!